thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for the invitation from PowerGen Europe to come and speak to everybody today about the ReFLEX project. It's one of the Smart Local Energy System Demonstrator projects, which is funded by Innovate UK. Innovate UK is a funding organisation based in the UK that helps drive forward research and development. And it's part of a specific call within the UK that we're looking at to enable smart energy systems. And so the rationale behind the funding call and all of the projects that are being funded at the moment is they wanted to find some specific areas where they could try and drive through this smart system. As with the introduction, I work for the European Marine Energy Centre. Normally the first thing that people ask me about, anyone who knows about EMEC, is what the hell is EMEC doing talking about reliability, flexibility and energy systems transition? And I look them straight back in the eye and say, that's a very, very good question. What are we doing this? Our core business is as a wave and tidal test facility. We have the electrical infrastructure to enable the testing of wave and tidal machines. For anybody who was here yesterday morning, many of the technologies that were shown up there from Atlantis or Orbital Marine Power have been tested at our facility. Really, we've been kind of instrumental in the energy transition within Orkney, attracting additional research and development into the Orkney Islands and looking at how this changes our energy system. We've gained a lot of credibility being able to manage public R&D funding. We're managing at the moment about £150 million worth of R&D across a number of different projects, different technology sectors, and really we're able to bring together this group of other companies and organisations doing the innovation in this space and helping to coordinate all of that activity. So the diagram that you can see up on here, this is the electricity network across the Orkney Islands. It's a population of only 20,000 people. The electricity or the energy bill across these islands is about £7.5 million per year. So just to amortise in terms of heat, transport and electricity, this is how much the islands are spending on the energy system. So, in comparison to some of the projects that we're looking at and some of the activity, this is not huge. It's not big. But it is easy for us to quantify this. You can see the red cables going in. There's a direct electricity cable coming in and out of Orkney, so it's very easy for us to actually control and manage the electricity system and look at the heat and the transport system and understand where those energy flows are. And what we're looking to develop through the project is a virtual power plant that manages each of the energy flows across those three different sectors. With most of the presentations that I've seen so far across this conference, people have really focused on the electricity system. When we talk about the energy system, really got to be thinking about those three different areas, and have been encouraged to hear some of the other presentations focusing on that heat issue a bit more. What we're looking to do is work to develop a financing structure that helps to get domestic and commercial scale energy storage out into the energy system within Orkney. So I said this is the project location. We're up in Orkney. How did we earn this opportunity to be running this world-leading project? It's a combination really of the natural resources that we have, very strong winds, waves, tide. Also, there's been a lot of oil and gas activity in there, and we've developed a lot of work forward looking at the hydrogen economy, and there's a lot of R&D that we've been undertaking in that space as well. From what you can see, most people think about peripheral islands quite parochial, not very forward-thinking. It's very much the opposite case with Orkney. There's really been a very clear vision of what needs to happen in the energy system, and you can see there in terms of the different activity that's been happening. We've also had a lot of commitment from the people that we've been working with. A lot of the data and information that was used at the beginning of the project was actually collected by a large number, believe it or not, of volunteers in their spare time. So one individual actually spent a lot of his time actually calling all of the people up in Orkney who had electric vehicles and logging how many miles that they'd done to understand how much of an impact that was happening. And really, it's a willingness to try and embrace new technology and to drive things forward. I've had a lot of discussions over the last couple of days with people about the importance of the user uptake, of the customer actually being willing to try new things and to engage in their energy system in a different way. And we've got a very willing community that wants to engage in the uptake of a new energy system. So that's really helped us. This is a Sankey diagram. It just shows where we're using the energy, how it's being produced, and what it's sitting within. We're doing pretty well on electricity in Orkney, to be honest. Since 2013, Orkney's actually been a net exporter of renewable electricity. So, when you see the graphs and people are talking about, well, how close are you towards net zero, and that electricity system tick, we've done that bit. We've already got that bit sorted. We're actually net exporting electricity, which really got the team within the project thinking about, well, what else can we be doing with this surplus renewables that we're generating? And there's capacity to install so much more. So rather than trying to export that, we're looking at other systems and means by which we can utilize that locally, but also then by installing those systems, how they can interplay between each other, basically to work as a smarter system. This has really been driven by a number of things, so a lot of the micro-generation success story. I really challenge anyone else if you come up to Orkney and drive around, see the number of micro wind turbines that are installed there. I've never seen anything like it anywhere else. The number of small generating stations that are there and people using their homes to power them is quite amazing. And you can see there, so that's the electricity demand on the right-hand side, the installed capacity, and it shows that, as I said, the amount of export that we've had on the system. In terms of the data monitoring, we've been doing a lot of that. The time series that you can see on the bottom here shows every single month of, I think it's about the last 16 years, and it shows basically if we're a net importer or exporter of electricity on the islands, to try and understand that and look at how we can manage that system. The graph you can see with the blue and the red lines, the blues are consumption, and then the red is the production on the islands. We also see, believe it or not, in Orkney, as I said, there's a lot of electric vehicles up there. It's actually got the highest penetration of electric vehicles anywhere within the UK. Part of this is really driven because mainland Orkney, the middle island, the longest journey that you can do on any electric vehicle. So you don't have the same impacts of range anxiety that you might have in other areas. One of the other interesting things about that, though, is that actually the average mileage in Orkney is a lot higher than the rest of the UK because it's a rural community and people have to drive quite far distances to get to work and so forth. So this idea of the need for mileage and how far everyone's driving all the time associated with the EVs, it doesn't actually quite tie up when we look at it. So that's a bit of the background, kind of what we've been doing and a lot of the I suppose activity that was happening across the islands before we had the projects kind of kick off. And I'll just go through now some of the achievements and what we've been working through within the project. So in summary, as I said, there's three different areas we're looking. We're looking at flexi-grid, flexi-trans, so looking at transport, and then flexi-heat, looking at the heat system. So within the transport system, we're looking at both electric vehicles and then also hydrogen-powered vehicles. There's a number of hydrogen-powered vehicles already operating on Orkney. Looking at the heat side of things, well, we're looking at heat pumps. We're looking at what we can do with heat with green hydrogen. And we're also looking at domestic thermal storage as well, and how we can manage these things between each other. In terms of the integrated energy system, so far what we've done is we've completed, I would say, a more professional audit of the information that we have up there to really understand what's been going on. We've also done a domestic survey to understand of those 20,000 individuals within Orkney across those homes, how many people are interested in engaging in this project as early adopters to see what they can do to change that. We've had a response rate of about 2,000 people out of 20,000. It's about 10%, so it doesn't sound like it's a very large amount, but regularly, if you think about SurveyMonkey surveys, you're down in the 1 to 2% sort of rate. So actually we can see the local communities really engaged in this. And we've also kind of professionalized our whole system modeling to understand when we put assets in different locations, what sort of impact that's going to have across the system. In terms of the electricity network, we've completed some RFIs. we're testing the use of multiple different batteries across the system, and also the impact of different EV charging mechanisms as well. So this idea, of potentially using rapid chargers against the time chargers where someone plugs their car and says, well, I don't need to move my car until the next morning. Okay, we can use that in a system. Do we use that system to draw, be doing vehicle to grid charging or doing it the other way, and to manage that across when the generation is on the system. And we're also establishing now a wider asset rollout plan. In terms of the transport, again, we've done an audit looking at the transport system. We've done a confirmation of the assets and services that we can provide to different people. And we've also done some installation integration of EV testing chargers, as I just mentioned. In terms of the heat network, what we've been doing, looking very much at the green hydrogen supply and logistics. Again, being an island system, some of our hydrogen production is actually, we have to transport the hydrogen between the different islands, which is causing all sorts of interesting regulatory issues for us in terms of transporting hydrogen on passenger ferries. We've done some digital modelling of the local leisure centre, and we're doing a combined heat and power concept for the leisure centre, as we said here. That's being produced by Doosan Babcock, and it's going to be a hydrogen-powered system. In terms of our upcoming milestones and what we're looking to achieve next, we'll be launching the market-facing element kind of February, March next year. So we'll actually be going out to the homes, putting in place those contracts. Again, this is a complicated part here where you're actually getting into people's homes, you're offering them energy services, and we'll be moving forward with some of the initial procurement. In terms of opportunities to get involved in the project, if anyone's interested in engaging in the project, we are looking for other locations to try and replicate this model. What we're not saying there is we know exactly how to develop a smart energy system and we'll come do exactly what we've done in your area. It's not about that. It's about trying to understand the demands and the resources within each different locality, and then how you can match that up and how we can use some of the learnings from our project to put into other areas. We'll also be doing a number of procurement activities, so if there's any suppliers out there who are interested in engaging in the project, there'll be a number of tenders that come out next year. And also, goes almost without saying, we very much welcome anybody who's interested in coming up to Orkney to see the system, to see all the different bits of technology in operation, and how will they integrate together. Thank you very much.